Hey there, it's Kat and this is Brews and Reviews. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read for the Birthday Bonanza Readathon. This readathon was created and hosted by Emily from Novell Novels, and it ran from the 4th until the 13th of March. These are just the books that I read for the readathon. I'll talk you through the prompts. I used to do this all the time, and I just stopped doing readathon wrap-ups, and I just kind of wanted to. So here we are. So the first prompt for this readathon was to read a gifted book, and for that one I chose to read Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. A book that so many people told me that I would love over and over again because I kept putting it on a TBR and then never actually reading it, and then I finally read it and I'm so mad at myself that I didn't read it sooner because oh my god, it was so good. I didn't realise that I was gonna love this book quite as much as I did. Now, I really enjoyed the first book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, which was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I thought it was amazing. I really liked the representation of chronic illness and domestic abuse. I feel like it was handled really well, and you know, the spicy scenes were spicy and it was all good. But this one was better. Like, I don't know how, but I was just so in love with both of the main characters. They were just both perfection and I loved them. Because I feel like in Get a Life, Chloe Brown, sometimes some of the things that Chloe said or did were a little bit off. Whereas I feel like, I don't know, Danny as a character, she was just perfection. And Sophia also, again, perfection. They both have their own problems and they're both going through stuff, but I love them all the same. I've just realised that I didn't actually tell you guys what this book was about at all, which is on me, my bad, sorry. Very excited about the characters that were in this. Got a bit carried away. So this is a fake dating romance book. The story sort of stems from a fire drill where they both work going a bit wrong, and Sophia ends up carrying Danny out of the building. It gets recorded by a bunch of people, and the internet basically thinks they're a couple, and they decide to roll with it because it helps them out in their own personal situations, but like, they're just so damn cute together and I love them. They both got problems, they both deal with their problems or learn to deal with their problems as we go through this, and I just love them. I kind of already want to reread this one, and I can see that this will be one I definitely do reread. I'm so mad that I didn't read it sooner. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Prompt number 2 for this readathon was to read a buddy read. Now, I kind of did this prompt and kind of didn't do this prompt. Okay, so I didn't do this prompt, technically, because I was doing buddy reads during this week, and I would like to count it towards that prompt, but I don't know if I can because I didn't actually finish either of these books during that week. I don't know, you let me know if you think I can count this. So, I was reading Ink Death by Cornelia Funk with Faye from Mystery Date with a Book, because we started reading this trilogy like 2 years ago, and we read the first 2 in the same year, and the second one had a like kind of meh end and we were a bit meh about it, and then we just left it for an entire year and forgot we were reading this series, and now we're going back to it. So technically I'm 175 pages into this book, and currently I'm not super loving it because all of the characters have turned into assholes for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but like why? It's really confusing because I really loved a lot of these characters in the first book. In the second one, they went a bit like, and in this one, they've gone right off the deep end, and I'm really just kind of expecting them all to die, and I think I'd be okay with that. Anyway, so the other book that I was reading was An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I was reading this with Kayla from Crack Into a Good Book, and yeah, we started this on the last day of the readathon, but I did technically read like a third of it, so again, I feel like it could kind of count. I have actually since finished this book, so I will do a wrap-up of it in here, even though technically it was for the readathon, wasn't for the readathon. I'm gonna wrap it up here anyway. So this book is set in a world where humans and fae coexist, except the fae are definitely more other and tricksy and will try and get one up on humans just because they want to. Their immortality is very much inhuman, and I kind of loved it. So we follow a master painter called Isabel who is commissioned to paint the Autumn Prince, and she paints human emotion into his eyes, which turns out to be a massive problem. They end up going on a journey with each other and things attack them. Things are quite creepy. I really liked the Barrow Lords that appear in this. I really liked the descriptions of those. I thought they were really interesting. I really love the small details, like the fact that her twin younger sisters were originally goats and some fae got drunk one day and said, oh, that'll be fun, and turned them human. I just think that that's so random, and it's totally something that assholes with power would do one day. They'd just be like, yeah, goat people. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this book is Isabel's resolution to stick to what she believes in and stay true to herself, because I find so often so many characters are really willing to just be like, oh, I can become immortal, I can become fate, great, I'll do that in a heartbeat, and they don't really consider what it actually means. But I really feel like Isabel has been clever and really thought about what certain things would mean if she made certain decisions, and she sort of stays true to herself, and I really like that. Though I will say the end of this book just kind of felt like I was wanting a little bit. Like, there were so many answers that I wanted, so much more that I feel like I could have had, and it just kind of ended, and I feel like it was kind of bittersweet because I really wanted to love it, but the end just let it down for me because it just didn't give me enough. I just wanted much more than this. But then again, it is only a 300-page book, so I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be getting too much detail. I was still kind of mad about it, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So the next prompt was to read something by a favourite author, and for this one, obviously I could have picked David Gemmell, but I didn't end up reading a David Gemmell book during this week. So instead, I kind of cheated a little bit and read The Demon in the Wood, which is a short story written by Leigh Bardugo, who is one of my favourite authors, and it's sort of the Darkling's backstory. It's just like a little snippet from his backstory, and I'd never read it before, so I was kind of like, well, I gotta read it soon, because I keep procrastinating reading Rule of Wolves and finishing, you know, all of the actual books that are out until after I've read this short story. So now I have no excuse. Remind me of that, please. So anyway, it was a very short story. I can't really go into what it's about without spoiling some things, but I liked it. I thought it was interesting context, and yeah, worthwhile reading, but very, very short. It was about 30 pages, and I'm not sorry that I read a short story for this. In the end, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, but again, please bear in mind it's a short story based on a character that I really like, so it may not be for everyone. The next prompt was to read a book that you loved when you were growing up. And for this one, I read The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. This is part 1, this is part 2. Technically, they're one book. So I haven't read this book in about 17 years, I want to say, something like that. It's been a long time. I've watched the films many, many, many times since then, and I love them every single time, and they always make me cry because I can't help it. It's very emotional. Anyway, the books I really love. Honestly, I forgot how much I truly enjoy this story, and I kind of forgot a lot of details, specifically around Tom Bombadil. Wow, he's annoying. So annoying. I'm sorry if you really enjoy Tom Bombadil, but I did not. I just found him incredibly irritating. How he constantly goes around going, whoa, I'm Tom Bombadil, I'm Magical Man. No, it's just not for me. I could very much have done without him, and I don't miss him in the films. Sorry about it, but I'm not sorry, so. Another thing I totally forgot about was the songs. I just did not remember there being so many songs in the book. Now, I'm not big on poetry and lyrics. I don't find that they really get to me, but I was talking to a friend about it, and he was sort of saying how songs are sort of used to like rejuvenate people or work through emotions and go through grief, and then I sort of considered them from that angle, and I could sort of get it. I can get behind the songs. Actually, interestingly, I like the songs that the elves sang far more than the ones that the hobbits sang. I'm not sure why, I just enjoyed those ones more. So in conclusion, I still love The Lord of the Rings. And interestingly, The Fellowship of the Ring is my least favourite of the set, so I'm very, very excited to read the next ones. So again, that was a hit. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And the last prompt for this readathon was to read a book including a celebration. So the book that I picked for this was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, because I knew that it featured a wedding at some point in this book, because I'd randomly scrolled on TikTok and found out. This book was a really interesting one. It's an enemies to lovers office romance, and they really just don't seem to like each other, but they are also a little bit weird. They do like each other, but also they hate each other. Now, personally, from having worked in an office, I could not see how someone who annoyed the crap out of me at work I could not be okay with them in my personal life. I'm sorry, if you're going to be an asshole to me at work, then you're just an asshole, full stop. So, but maybe that's just me. So I like the concept in this fictional universe, but I could never. They play a lot of these games to sort of get at each other when they're in their office, and I really liked those, and I liked how they evolved. I liked them both in and out of the office, but I did feel a little bit like I was getting hot and cold vibes. I don't know if it's just because one of the characters was misinterpreting what one of the other characters was doing. I felt a little bit like I was getting whiplash because I wasn't sure whether that character was still into the person, and I was like, wait, Am I just too dumb for this enemies to lovers trope? Like, I know that they hate each other. It kept going back and forth, and I was like, wait, this is enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers, rather than just enemies to lovers. It felt a little bit like Whiplash, but I don't know if that's just because I'm a little bit dumb. Might just be me. I will say that the end of this book, from the wedding onwards, particularly a certain speech that happens during the wedding, everything after that point, I loved it, and it upped the rating. Not that the rating was going to be lower than a 4 anyway, but it like pushed it to a very high 4 rather than just like a 4. So yeah, it was a very high 4 out of 5 stars, and I loved the end. So there we have it. Those are the books that I read for the Birthday Bonanza Readathon, and I had such a good time with this readathon. I feel like it kind of pushed me into reading some books that I wouldn't have otherwise picked up this month, and gave me really good ratings. Like, so many good ratings. There wasn't a rating below 4 star for any of the books that I read during this readathon, and I'm super happy about that. I hope the rest of the month is going to be as nice to me. I mean, what are the chances? But let's all have our fingers crossed, okay? So if you made it this far into the video, then please leave me some sort of wedding related emoji. A bride, a groom, some flowers. I literally don't care. It's just, if you don't have anything else to say, it would be nice if you let me know you were here. And if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!